Hello there guys, it's Joey. So this is a requested spell set for the goddess Isis and Aset. And I'm going to sort of discuss a little bit before we talk about the individual products and the energies. This was a request, and as I was feeling out the energies, it came to me that this set was very much about balancing all the sides of the goddess Isis. And I know there are people out there who disagree with the assessment that the goddess Aset is a darker aspect of the goddess Isis, and there are those who consider her to be a completely separate goddess. However, given this is what was requested and how I felt moving through the set, this is how the set has proceeded to evolve, and it has become very much about the duality, almost, or the all-encompassing energy of the goddess Isis from the Egyptian pantheon. The primal female goddess. The goddess Isis was believed to be associated with the goddess Tiamat from the Sumerian, and has transcended time and myth, and can arguably be seen to be one of the goddesses that can be seen throughout time and across culture, as many of the myths are almost identical. And therefore she becomes a very, very primal female goddess, embodying both chaos and order, poisoner and healer, warrior and magician, mother and destroyer, life and death. There is a sovereignty, an air of commanding. The jaws of life and death, pain and pleasure, the bitterness and sweetness of both, joy and sadness, the essence of what it is to live and die. And this week has kind of hammered home these energies very much so. There is a grave balance here, a stark contrast, almost a mirror to what it is to be alive and what it is to live and what it is to die, and the goddess Isis being present for both, what it is to be a poisoner versus what it is to be a healer, and the adage that one needs to know how to harm in order to know how to heal. They are just two sides of the same coin. I did a goddess Isis set back some years ago now, and when I started off this set I went back and looked at it and had a feel out of how I felt about certain energies and vibrations, and it quickly became apparent that the original goddess Isis set was much more on the nurturing mother side of things. There was a regality and sovereignty to it, which I wanted to keep for certain. But this set is so different to that one. It is life and death, mother and destroyer. You can't have one without the other. The request for 3 spell cauldrons actually allowed me to show almost the transition between the two polar opposites of this set. Some people might have been like, oh, you just go for a triple aspect in that respect, and it doesn't feel like that at all. It feels very much like the goddess Isis is a river, and all of these energies flow into one another and they return back to source. And I can see where the correspondence to Tiamat from the Sumerian and the idea of, you know, chaos and the snake eating its own tail and Ouroboros come through almost into this energy of the goddess Isis. You know, the snake is very representative of healing, and the vulture is very associated with death and carrion and rebirth, and both have their place within Isis-related mythos and history. Cleopatra is associated very much with the goddess and Isis within her devotion, and as in Cleopatra was said to be devoted, and she killed herself with a snake, as the mythos goes. It's such a striking energy. It's really difficult to really fully ascribe meaning. It just becomes chaos and order. It becomes poisoner and healer. It is life and death and mother and destroyer, and sort of to nurture but also to end, you know. It's a really strong energy. It's no nonsense. It's not touchy-feely at all. There is a strong, prideful love there, for certain. There's the ability to nurture and care and love and protect. But that is also embodied in all aspects of it, that the destroyer also has the ability to love and protect and nurture. It's just a different side, a different face, a different element, a different aspect to this incredible energy that came through with the goddess Isis. So, there are 3 spell cauldrons, as I said, so I guess we'll start there, and I'll move everything else off. Although I'm going to talk about this incense, because craziness with this incense. Right. So the 3 spell cauldrons, I went and got the Ankhs specially, by the way. I had a feeling about which Ankhs I wanted, so I ordered them in special. I think it's nice to do that as well. It gives a little bit of a personalisation. So the 3 spell cauldrons embody the energies of the goddess Isis in this set, as I have ascribed already, and shows the flow between them. So in terms of colour magic, you have black on black, you have a cream on white, and then you have a black and cream. So for your black on black is your death end, your destroyer end, the end of all things, the poisoner end, the destruction element of the goddess Isis. And then your cream and your white is your light side, your nurturer, your birth side. And then the cauldron in the centre is the embodiment of both, the transition between the energies of the goddess Isis fluctuating and in that river between the two. The void, the destroyer element, is always present within life. And that's why we went for the black destroyer element being on the inside with the surrounding being life. And that is because the energy to destroy is always within. It is we and we that destroy things, and it is within our capability at all points. It's also the inward journey, the magician, the shaman, the void, the unknown, the mystery is within as well as without. So that's why the black and the void is within. And there had to be energies of complete magic and sovereignty. There's this incredible warrior, sovereign, magician energy working its way through. The ability to control situations, the ability to see the outcome, the ability to affect change. We still have a little bit of the sort of sensual desert energy coming through, which was very present in the original Isis sets, but it's got more bite to it, basically. There is that sensualness, that how to best, a goddess who's fully in charge of her own sensuality, her own sexuality, who's in charge of her female presence in all ways, and delights and revels in sensuality, the life element, as well as, of course, the death element, which you can never fully separate in my experience. So yeah, so I think they came out absolutely beautifully. There is a correlation between the three, of course. They all have the threads moving through the three cauldrons, so they work as a set. You could, I mean, if necessary, you could just have the two, but I really like having the third there for the sort of crossover. We'll do the spell orb briefly. I'm going to try not to, because it's highly reflective and it drives me insane. Okay, so again we have the Ankh. I went with the white ribbon, the same as the Goddess Isis orbs used to be, and that's because I really like the idea of it being a material like the ancient Egyptians might have worn, that might have been meshy and see-through, and you can almost visualize it being the fabric which a goddess may wear. I was in two minds about the spell orb, because at first I was thinking I would go with a darker shade, or maybe a real dark turquoise, with turquoise being associated with Isis, but I kept coming back to this visual of a female goddess walking and being able to see her limbs through this white sheer material, and so that's how we went through, and there you go, you can see on the inside. And there is a crystal in there and a spell scroll in there, as ever. Okay, then there is the spell oil. Ooh, there was a spell oil. I'm clumsy today, apologies. Again, another one of the Ankhs rather than the pentacles. This is a little bit more desert flower. The oil is probably the lightest of everything in terms of energy feel. It's perhaps a little bit more desert flower, a little bit more on the central nurturing mother side, so it's sort of more of an uplifting. And I think the reason for the reason for the oil being that way is to have a energy within the set that you can use on a regular basis, which isn't going to be full on confronting all energies, all aspects of the goddess Isis. So when it's more to do with a humble, simple offering for the day rather than full on work, and really getting into the energies of your goddess full blown, when it's a day and you're just keeping things on the lighter side, but it's still offerings, it's still applying an oil to yourself, and it's a little bit lighter. It's not the full blown energies of destroyer as well, keeping it on the lighter side with the spell oil a little. Desert flower, desert bloom. There's a passionateness to that energy, to the desert bloom side of things. Right, the spell bowl, of course, is not included, it's mine. Oh, goodness. Right, okay, so this is the herbal blend. This smells like heaven. This, oh God, this may end up being a smudge as well because I really, really like it. I think it might well be a smudge. Yep. And just having, sorry, I'm having feelings and thoughts from the universe flow through me for a second there. That was a little bit off-putting on video. Focus. So the scent for the incense herbal blend for the goddess Isis was very important. And I went through stages of putting together what I wanted and how I wanted it to smell. And you would, looking at me, you would think I work in a perfumery the way that this came into being, because it's very, very careful, very, very specific amounts of each thing, very much balancing the energies within. I wanted the scent to represent the magic, so I wanted that energy. So there had to be a bitterness in there, there had to be a sweetness in there, and they had to balance each other to the point where none is overpowering, so it's not one or the other, but it becomes both. It becomes the right balance of the scent of both, and it's again, it's this desert flower energy, but it has a bit more of a bite than that. It has basically, I'm going to read to you basically what was the message from Goddess Isis as this was being created again. So the message part was the jaws of life and death, pain and pleasure, the bitterness and sweetness of both, joy and sadness, the essence of what it is to live and the essence of what it is to die. So all of these magics are worked through the herbal blend of, it's worked through the whole set, but it was very poignant with the way that it smelled, the aromatherapy behind it, the balancing of sweet and bitter, and making sure that the balance was spot on down the centre for those. I really like it, and I enjoy the Egyptian pantheon. I've read an awful lot about it, but it's not something I actively seek out in terms of particular scents or energies very often. It's something I go back and touch on more when it's a request, really, like this one, because I've had a lot of learning, a lot of history learning, research. Growing up, I was absolutely obsessive about the Egyptian culture for a good amount of my young years, and had all of these books and things. So I have a very particular idea in my head about almost Egyptian visualization about how things should look and how things should smell and things should almost taste, you know. And so I was really particular with this particular incense blend, and so was the goddess Isis. So it was a very laborious process, and I'm very happy with the outcome. So I really hope that the lady whose set it is pleased too, because this stuff is lovely. I really, really enjoy the scent. So I'm not going to put the spell back on show for a minute, but I'll just pop everything else back on. I hope you like it, and many blessings.